Namaste, everyone. Welcome, everyone, to Vivekananda Yoga University's webinar series. My name is Dr. Jessica Singh. I am a student in the online Master of Science in Yoga program. I invite you to join me in opening this session with an invocation in Sanskrit. Before chanting the invocation, I will give the meaning in English. So as you feel comfortable, close your eyes, sit up nice and straight and lengthen your spine, and deepen the breath. Inhaling and exhaling through the nose if possible. Inhale deeply and exhale completely, allowing your muscles to relax, bringing yourself even more present to this moment. May we work together with great energy. May the knowledge of the divine protect us and nourish us. May this journey be fulfilling. May we become radiant. Peace, peace, peace. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karavavai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Very slowly, when you're ready, open your eyes. So it's a blessing to be here today with all of you for Vivekananda Yoga University's webinar series, featuring leaders and experts from all around the world. First, I would like to acknowledge our official partner for this webinar series, Yoga Bharati. We are grateful for their support and also from the support from Vyasa LA, Samskrita Bharati, Heartfulness Institute, Arsha Jyotish, North-South Foundation, Federation of Indian Physicians Association, and the American Academy of Yoga and Meditation. Just a couple of comments before we begin. Please type your questions in the Q&A box, and they will be addressed at the end of this talk. For everyone in the audience, the audio and video will be muted during the presentation. Afterwards, if your question comes up, you may be called on to participate. Now, it is my honor to introduce and welcome our speaker for this evening, Dr. Dilip Sarkar. Dr. Sarkar is a retired vascular surgeon, and he is a global leading expert in yoga, yoga therapy, and Ayurvedic yoga therapy. He has had tremendous impact in his career as a surgeon, not only in the lives that he has saved and cared for, but also in many leadership roles. He was the Associate Professor of Surgery in Eastern Virginia Medical School, Chairman of the Department of Surgery and Chief of Staff at Sportsman's General Hospital. He's had numerous national leadership positions as well. Just to mention a couple, he was the past president of the American Heart Association and the past president of the board of directors for the International Association of Yoga Therapists. He is the chairman for the Integrative Medicine and Yoga and Taksha Institute in Virginia. All of this, though, does not even begin to describe the tremendous impact that Dr. Sarkar has had on others' lives. He has truly dedicated his life in service of humanity and sharing the true wisdom of health and healing with others through teaching. He is a pioneer and an inspiration, and he lives everything that he teaches. It is an enormous honor and beautiful blessing to be here with you today, Dr. Sarkar. Over to you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Jessica. It was a wonderful introduction. Now it is my turn. So before we start, all of you have seen the title of my talk. The title of my talk is Integrating Yoga Therapy with the Western Medicine. The reason for it, because all of you who are finishing your studies, we will know very soon, once you're in practice, whether it is a healthcare setup or academic setup, whatever setup you're in, you'll see every person comes to you, new person. I will say 75 to 80% will come for some health reason. And the reason is the word is out. Word is out that yoga as a therapy is very beneficial to our chronic lifestyle related disorders. Now, I'm to go over with you slowly and slowly what is yoga therapy, how we can integrate, and what are the evidences today, just to show it to you, that it is already a part of our Western medicine, or we call it a modern medicine, or call it allopathic medicine. Okay, let me start sharing the slides with you. So you will see, here it is. Let me share. Okay, you guys see it well, Jessica? Okay. So here is a title, Integrating Yoga Therapy in the Western Medicine. So this picture, let me see, here it is. This picture tells you all, huh? Somebody sent this picture to me and I love this picture. This is integrating application of medical yoga in a healthcare. Now, all of you know what yoga is and all of you know where it comes from. Just to give you just a brief introduction to other people who are on the Facebook Live, that the yoga is an anglicized version of the root word is called yog. The yog means union. We call it union of a body, mind, and spirit. It is a spiritual practice for self-realization. It's a union between your individual soul and the supreme soul. And the health benefits were just an outcome of this, your practices. So if you look at it as a modern world in the computer, you can understand our body is like a hardware, mind is a software, and spirit is a program. Who is a programmer? I'm the programmer. I program my software, my mind, and the hardware get fixed. So it's as simple as it is, the yoga fixes your software. Yoga basically is, we call it a software updates. You have this iPhone, you get these software updates. So when our software has a glitch, yoga takes care of it. It is a philosophy called Yoga Sutra Patanjali, 196 sutras. And interesting is how 193 of them are basically to quiet down your mind, called Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Practice is called 8 limbs of yoga, or Patanjali Ashtanga Yoga, is the 8 limbs. All of you know very well. Yam is a social restraint, there are 5 of them. Niyam, personal restraint. Asana, generally we mention it as an external and internal alignment. And I'll explain to you a little bit more how it happens with the relaxation response. Pranayama is a voluntary regulated breathing. Pratyahara, pratyahara means prata means reject. Ahara means input, so the withdrawal of your control of your 5 senses. Focus, dharana, dhyana, and meditation. Meditation is the state which creates the pharmacological effect. At the state of meditation, our mind produces every medication you can think about, which is called, we call it a meditation is medication. And if you look at the side by side, meditation and medication, there is a difference, only 1 letter. Meditation has a T, medication has a C. So we said T, and it's a choice. T is for transformation. Meditation is transformation, C is your choice. And samadhi is finally the union of your body, mind, and spirit. So what yoga therapy means an adaptation of these practices based on the patient's or client's clinical condition. What does it mean? We do not use any unusual thing for the therapy. We're using the same Yoga Sutra Patanjali, or using same Patanjali Ashtanga Yoga, but we learn how to use them, or combine them and do it in a gradual process. And I'm going to show it to you that a patient comes to you, how do you incorporate yoga therapy in your Western medical practice? Primarily, it's a relaxation response and activation of parasympathetic tone. What does it mean? That our whole chronic lifestyle related disorders are due to stress, which is a sympathetic overdrive. And this is totally counteracting it for parasympathetic tone. It is also introspection, looking inside yourself. And as simple as it is, say it is called a neuroplasticity. That is called, if you do keep on doing a repeated action, it takes about 20, 30, 40 inputs and the brain gets the signal. So introspection means today you cannot touch your toe, but if you keep on practicing, one day you will touch your toe. The moment you can touch your toe, you said, hey, let me see what happened to me. How is my digestion? How is my sleep? Totally changes your perception with wellness. So I said, there is no problem in the world, does not have a solution. Just no disease, everyday treatment, just awaken the doctor within you. Very, very important. People come and say, my doctor tells me this. And I said, no, you have a doctor within you. Listen to that. We must make our body work for us. Very, very important. You see, people say, I want to meditate. Meditation is the seventh limb of yoga. There is nothing called yoga and meditation. This is a practice. You have to prepare your body in a relaxation response, prepare your breath so you can enter into a state of meditation. Nothing has the greatest power but self. It is the art of self-healing. And finally, at the end, you will know that I am the cause and I'm the cure. Our father of modern medicine, Hippocrates, says, I'm more important to know what sort of person has the disease, not to know what sort of disease a person has. It is as simple as yoga therapy. I'm not interested about your disease. I'm interested about you as a whole. It is a holistic practice, not reductionist. Western medicine reductionist practice. This is a part of the new branch of medicine. It's called integrative medicine. About 15 years back, about 3 out of 125 medical school has it. Today, you have about 100 medical school has a department of integrative medicine. 65, the program has a clinical clerkship. 25 training program who trains you for integrative medicine. And in 2014, the American board has established American Board of Integrative Medicine. But most important thing, listen to this one, how we have integrated yoga therapy in Western medicine. The Academic Consortium for Integrative Medicine and Health developed a definition. And look at the definition, which is very important from Western standpoint. It is a relationship between practitioner and the patient. So it is called patient-centered medicine. And Western medicine is called a physician-centered medicine. Focuses on the whole person, looking beyond the body and mind to achieve optimal health and healing. What it basically does, it unblocks your internal healing power. Western medicine is called evidence-based medicine. Show me the number, show me the, your PubMed articles. Yoga therapy is called a practice-based evidence. In Sanskrit, people who know it say Karo Yog, Raho Nirog. Keep practicing it. It is a 99% practice. Generally, when I present, I generally don't present with the slides. I generally do all the practice and keep going. So people who doesn't believe what the potential of yoga therapy, this is a positive proof of global warming. Most important part of the yoga therapy is it is an individual practice. It is experiential. You are the creator of your own destiny. It is a transcendental science. That means beyond science. Means we can explain things in a Western medicine, explain through science, but some of them we cannot explain it. That is, we call it's a beyond science. That's what we call a philosophy. And it's experimental. What experimental means, by the time you keep on practicing, you develop the neuroplasticity and it becomes your own individual personal practice. So how to integrate? Yoga is a lifestyle. It is an art and science of healthy living. And the day has almost come. The Western physician is going to write a prescription. So yoga therapy for chronic low back pain, metabolic syndrome, cancer. I'll be showing you primarily from your established clinical medical journals, not the research articles, because our physician wants to see your clinical journals, all the publications, how yoga therapy got integrated in Western medicine. So he's almost the father of our incorporating yoga as a therapy in Western medicine, is Dr. Dean Ornish. He's been actually had a yoga training in Yogaville under Swami Satchitanand, and he has established this program. It used to call a Spectrum, now it's called Intensive Cardiac Rehabilitation. And many hospitals, including mine, has the program, and it is now covered by Medicare and other health insurances. Always remember, when a patient comes to you, a doctor sends to you as a yoga therapist, it's called an art of transformation, which means not to master the asanas, but use the asanas in stages for transformation and therapeutic benefits. So a yoga therapy means a practice that meets you where you are. Say you have physical ailment, you come with a knee pain, you come with a back pain. We meet you there for a physical therapy or with the idea of how to incorporate yoga therapy for this patient. A patient comes with a respiratory problem, asthma, COPD, pulmonary fibrosis. We'll think that comes with the neuropsychiatric disorder. It's a stage approach that teaches a pain-free asana. That means when a person says, and I cannot even sit down anymore, that's fine, sit in a chair. As Jessica was saying at the beginning, keep your spine straight. The moment you keep your spine straight, a relaxation response sets in. By the time you have a relaxed muscles of respiration, your breathing gets effortless. And when your body is in relaxation response and breathing is effortless, your lung is like a balloon. It has a 6-liter capacity, and we have a 4.5 liter of vital capacity which you exchange. But you only breathe about 0.5 liter. So you learn how to breathe out, breathing out longer than breathing in, and slowly you enter into the state of meditation. It builds a physical and mental resilience. So when I present this, we teach our physicians the yoga therapy, how to integrate in Western medicine through a continuing medical education program. And we are the one which first started, me, Sadbir, and Rajan. And the program is approved by called ACCME, Accreditation Council for Continuing Medical Education for Physicians, who are doing for about 10 years. Physician always comes and asks, what is the relaxation response? So this is the example of relaxation response. You start able to sit down in a Sukhasana. Remember, if you have a pain, and that's what do when I practice pain, back off. Find the place where you have a little bit of discomfort. We call it comfortable discomfort. And if you stay in this posture for a longer time, it varies from person to person, but a neuroplasticity sets in. Neuroplasticity sets in, you can get into the next, it's called your Siddhasana. You can put your one foot in the top. Next Siddhasana comes, you can get an Ardha Padmasana, half lotus, then you can get a full lotus. And remember, people will say, look at the lotus. This lotus Padmasana is a pure relaxation response. If you are not able to get into that, if you want to try. And most important thing about asana practice is a let go. We say, We say exercise, we say workout. Yoga practice called work in. Difference between a exercise and a yoga. Exercise is a sympathetic overdrive. Exercise is a muscle contraction. Exercise increases your heart rate, your blood pressure, respiratory rate. It is called a sympathetic overdrive. Particularly sympathetic overdrive, our body starts to do what is called your homeostasis. So a parasympathetic activation starts. So what we do after exercise, we count our resting pulse rate. Resting pulse rate coming down, he said, oh, this is a very nice effect of exercise. Yoga therapy primarily activates your parasympathetic tone without going to the sympathetic overdrive. Because what happens in sympathetic overdrive, a lot of people in sympathetic overdrive will have a cardiac event. A person who is doing pushing 200 pounds, 300 pounds in a YMCA get a heart attack. A person running without paying attention. The most important attention is your breath. It's called Annamaya Kosha to Pranamaya Kosha. Anything you do behind your breath is not going to hurt you. So we said today in Western medicine, this relaxation response is called your preventive medicine. And I'll show it to you how the yoga therapy acts as a primary prevention, secondary prevention, and a tertiary prevention. The yoga as a therapy a research was going on in our Western medicine, but the first person who literally we know from our, at least historically, is Swami Rama. When Swami Rama came, so what happens to the yogis by the time they keep on practicing the relaxation response, they develop a phenomena by which they have a control over the autonomic nervous system. Normally we don't. We have a control of your voluntary nervous system, a partial about involuntary nervous system, but autonomic nervous system, I'm sleeping, I'm still breathing, my heart rate is functioning. So he said, I can stop my heart. So he'd been hooked up. Yes, he could literally stop his heart, but he developed atrial fibrillation. But what is the most important thing, selectively in the hand, we have two arteries, radial and ulnar artery. He could selectively shut down one of the blood vessels for the hand perfusion. Next is our Herbert Benson. He's still here in Harvard. He was a follower of our transcendental meditation. And when he joined us, transcendental meditation, he noticed that at the deep level of transcendental meditation, there's a lot of physiological changes. Heart rate comes down, blood pressure comes down. So at that time, he knew that this is the effect of meditation, which is the seventh limb of yoga. But that time in 1967 or 69, I think he was very uncomfortable to use the word meditation. So he wrote the book called The Relaxation Response, which essentially became one of your New York Times bestseller. But if you read the book, it's nothing but your effect of meditation, physiological effect of meditation in the body. He kept on publishing. And recently he published, called Relaxation Response, and showed that it has an effect on genetic expression. It has an effect on your apoptosis. It has an effect on baroreceptor sensitivity, chemoreceptor sensitivity. And I'll show it to you a little bit more there. So this is the integration of yoga therapy in Western medicine. And Herbert Benson, still in the Harvard, this is an article published in New England Journal of Medicine. New England Journal of Medicine today is the Bible of our modern medicine. And in the April 9th, this last year, there's an article. This is called a new era in a mind-body medicine. I'm not going over this article because you can always find the article just to show you. When you have an article published in New England Journal of Medicine, that means we are here to stay. This is just a simple a survey in showing that about 36.7 million people are practicing yoga, a $16 billion industry. We know all about it, but We're talking about therapeutic benefits. Now, for the physicians or healthcare providers, they go and search for a PubMed. The PubMed is the US National Library of Medicine. So if you put in the search engine yoga therapy, you'll get over 6,000 articles. Remember, the PubMed is an all PubMed index journal. And in your clinical trials, like NIH funded research is almost about 500 studies being funded by National Institute of Health. What they have separated now in West yoga and meditation. They call yoga and meditation. But yoga is meditation. It's a seventh limb. But if you put a meditation, you'll get another 7,000 articles. You put a meditation, get another over 450 NIH grant funding. The first evidence we have today that how is incorporating yoga therapy in Western medicine, this was published in Lancet, one of the very prestigious medical journal. It was in 1973, the yoga and biofeedback in the management of hypertension. That's actually, we can go back and see, this is one of the first publication in an established medical journal. But the most important thing, this author, Dr. C. Patel, he went and did a yoga and biofeedback in the standard Western medical term called randomized control study, and he showed the relaxation response reduces peripheral resistance and reduces the blood pressure. Another landmark article, which comes from our SVASA, which is a primary institution or mother institution of our VaYu, is from the Nagendra, is a yoga for bronchial asthma. It was published in British Medical Journal in 1985. I can trace back, this is in 1998, there was an article published in JAMA. Remember, these are the established clinical medical journal which the Western trained physicians are looking at. Yoga therapy for carpal tunnel. This was an article, a landmark article. It's called Comparing Yoga and Exercise and Self-Care, Chronic Back Pain. I call it Karen Sherman. It was 2005. I still remember the day it was published. It was Annals of Internal Medicine. It's another Bible of Western medicine. Karen Sherman was being interviewed by CNN, ABC, CBS, NBC, every article, front page of, I think it was in Wall Street Journal or New York Times. But I'm showing you the established journal, the Spine, very respected medical journal, has an article published, Yoga for Low Back Pain. I'm giving you this information because for you to get an idea where we are in yoga therapy. When you get an article published in a prestigious journal like this, we are here to stay. The yoga for chronic low back pain, but again, it's an article published in Archives of Internal Medicine. Again, yoga for chronic low back pain. It's Annals of Internal Medicine. Wonderful journal. Look at this. Journal of American College of Cardiology, the most prestigious journal in Western medicine, published yoga therapy for atrial fibrillation in 2013, almost 8 years back. I know if I go over this article, there's a lot of flaws in the article, but publishing it in the JACC is more important. They publish, this is called Journal of American Heart Association. Cannot have any better journal this. Meditation in cardiovascular risk reduction, scientific statement from American Heart Association. When American Heart Association talks, people listens. Because I was the president of the local chapter, so I know all about it. Again, Journal of American College of Cardiology. It came in the last year, April of 2020, yoga-based cardiac rehabilitation after acute myocardial infarction. It is a multi-center study. Look at all over the world, the authors are publishing. So, when Sadhbir Khalsa talks about it as a research, he goes over every article by. I'm just showing it to you where we are today. This is from the grant from the National Cancer Institute, have won the largest grant to MD Anderson Hospital, and Lorenzo Cohen, who is also, I think, part of your program, and he did a yoga for the breast cancer. He published the research with the SVASA, and finally published this in another prestigious journal, Journal of Clinical Oncology. In the same time, it was an interesting, there's another article got published, is a yoga therapy for breast cancer on the same journal in 3 months apart. So you really don't see it that often. In that a prestigious journal to have two identical papers published from two different institutions. And that gives you credibility of how yoga therapy is helpful in Western medicine. This is an interesting one. Again, it published in Archives of Internal Medicine. It's called When the Conventional Medical Providers Recommend Unconventional Medicine. This is very interesting. This is from your from Nimhans in India. It's one of the prime institutions in India. It's a Gangadhar. He was showing the functional MRI of Om chanting. So when you do Om chanting, you have a frequency. Our brain has a frequency. When the two frequency gets together, it collides. It's called your harmonic resonance. It's a physics, and it quiets down your mind. This is in University of Virginia. They started a foundation, Medical Yoga for Health Professional, and I was the one who was, they asked me, so I went and trained the people who are starting the program. In fact, they came to our continuing medical education program. This is you. This is, I always talk about VaYu to all my presentations, and how far and how long it takes to establish the credibility here in the United States. In the new medical school, there's a brand new medical school in Michigan. It's called their Oakland University, Beaumont. They have a completely separate department, Beaumont School of Yoga Therapy, and all the medical students and the resident rotates. The lady who's in charge is a good friend of mine. She's a yoga therapist. This is a Master of Science in Yoga Therapy in Maryland University of Integrative Health. They started in 2013. I remember the first one. One of my actually, somebody's coming to my class, her daughter. But everybody who finishes there gets a job. That is the most important information you need to carry. By the time you finish the program, you will have a job. This is a program in Loyola Marymount University. In the yoga therapy program, they go to a medical clinic for their study. So how yoga therapy works from Western medical concept, it's called psychoneuroendocrinology. What is psychoneuroendocrinology means? This relaxation response, it affects the area of the brain which is above your motor and sensory cortex, called a limbic system. There are two nuclei called amygdala and hippocampus, and the response to your fear and memory, then it's a signal to you, your called body homeostasis called hypothalamus. Hypothalamus sends a signal to the pituitary gland through pituitary adrenal axis, and also it sends a signal to your autonomic nervous system to have a parasympathetic activation. So I'm going to give you these slides. I'm not going to go over with this, but just to tell you, you can look at the research papers. It controls epigenetics. Epigenetics is the one which prevents your genetic expression. Remember, genetic changes doesn't cause disease, cause genetic expression. It reduces all the inflammatory response from the gene. It acts like an antioxidant. It controls apoptosis, controls telomere length. We got a Nobel Prize. And I can go on and on and on, but I teach them for a long time. For the physicians, the effect of it, but for you, it's just the informations only. Look at this. Inhalation is sympathetic, exhalation is parasympathetic. So I teach you how to do a longer exhalation than inhalation. It is called aerobic glycolysis. Like when you have a more oxygen, the glucose combines with oxygen, form carbon dioxide, water, and then called ATP. ATP is energy called adenosine triphosphate. But if you don't have enough oxygen, called anaerobic glycolysis, glucose combines with oxygen, form lactic acid, pyruvic acid, pain-producing substances. So you said the Bhastrika pranayama. So if you have a knee pain, back pain, we put them in a little relaxation response and let them do a Bhastrika pranayama. We use all this, like we'll do call a Paschim Namaskar. We put a hands in the back. It called a chest expansion. It improves your ejection fraction, improves your pulmonary function. Then we'll do called a Brahma Mudra, relaxation of the neck, Paschim Namaskar, Brahma Mudra, and during your breathing out, we do a Brahmari Pranayama, like a bumblebee breathing, and that frequency has the same frequency as the brain. So maybe I'll do one practice session with you and show it to you. It increases vagal tone, increases baroreceptor sensitivity, and I will show you a little bit later. I'll talk maybe next 15 more minutes before I take a question for you. When you put your head down, and I'll show it to you what the inversion poses cause to you. It increases heart rate variability. See, it's not the heart rate. Really, both the heart has a heart rate of around 49, but this is called heart rate variability. Heart rate variability is a function of the parasympathetic tone. And the same heart rate, this is the function of a sympathetic tone. And how it is incorporated is called primary prevention. Suppose you have the genetic predisposition. My father has hypertension, diabetes. If I incorporate relaxation response, it causes genetic suppression, prevents the onset of the disease. And how do you find it out? Yeah, somebody has hypertension, they have 2 children, one gets hypertension at the age of 30 and like at the age of 60. Why? That is the most important thing. Cleveland Clinic, one of the pioneer institution in this country, incorporated yoga therapy in their Lifestyle 180 program. This is a beautiful article in the Time magazine, How Not to End Up Here. That means yoga therapy is a preventive medicine, primary prevention. This is a program in Cleveland Clinic. They have about 10 yoga classes daily. And this is the very fundamental, this very important in the Cleveland Clinic. It's a Rosen. His title is a Chief Wellness Officer. So how far you come to the yoga therapy. Secondary prevention. Now you have the disease. You have a heart attack, you have a cancer of the breast, you have all lifestyle disorders, and it all happened through your lifestyle. So when you have the disease, you get your usual and customary therapy. That is called integration. Integrative medicine is integration of the science of Western medicine with your philosophy and wisdom of the yoga therapy. But when you incorporate the yoga therapy, you get a genetic suppression, prevents the progression and the reversal of the disease. It happened to me. I had open heart surgery about 20 years back, but I'm totally a disease-free, medication-free, enjoying a good quality life. In a tertiary prevention, it prevents the complication of the disease, like a diabetes, diabetic nephropathy, kidney, diabetic retinopathy. It prevents your tertiary prevention. It's a wonderful tool for rehabilitation. If you keep on doing the yoga therapy for chronic lifestyle-related disorders, you have a better management of the disease. People like us, we have had the underlying condition, but now we wake up first thing in the morning, we enjoy a good quality yogic life. We do morning Ushapan, we do Netipat, we do our morning practice, and most importantly, the less pharmaceutical support. That means you don't need too much medication. You are taking medication for diabetes, medication for hypertension. Your doctor will slowly start reducing it because you look better and better, and a better quality of life. And at the end of the day, we're seeing that by the prolonged genetic suppression, we get almost a cure of some chronic diseases like a hypertension, diabetes, and coronary artery disease. Same thing happened for all the cancers, The cancer is called oncogene. I have the oncogene within me, but oncogene has to express. It expresses through a phenomena called epigenetics, and yoga therapy controls that epigenetics. This is my book, and it is a very popular now. It's called Yoga Therapy, Ayurveda, and Western Medicine. But most important thing, if you see, there's a picture of Albert Einstein and Rabindranath Tagore, a scientist and a philosopher. When science meets philosophy, this is integrative medicine. Very, very important concept from Western medical standpoint. My book has all the standard publication, like there are the 25 book references. This is all your Western medical books. There are DVDs for the healthcare, and I also have a DVD. This is my DVD for my yoga therapy for health and healing. But most important in my book, I have all your articles published and all from the journal reference from established medical journal. Just to show you how much books we have today, my friend wrote Yoga as a Medicine, Meditation as a Medicine. This is a book called Yoga Therapy in Integrative Medicine. I wrote the foreword for the book with the Dean Ornish, and it is me. And this book is very popular. It's by Larry Payne. This is the book Shirley Tellis and Satbir Khalsa, Lorenzo Cohen, and Timothy McCall wrote. This becomes a very research book, Principle and Practice of Yoga. Shirley Tellis, she's a world-renowned yoga researcher. She was in SVSA, started the SVSA research program. Now she's in Patanjali Yoga Pit. She wrote the book, Research-Based Perspective on the Psychophysiology of Yoga. This is a new book. It's called the Handbook of Research on Evidence-Based Perspective on the Psychophysiology of Yoga and its Application. It's a very popular book, but it's available mostly to the researchers. This was one of my DVDs and early DVDs, which I use, but all my DVDs are basically for the healthcare providers, with giving all the reasons, This is the new one. I just show it to you, but this is a primary for healthcare with all explanation. In fact, in my book is for regular people, but it has all the Western medical explanation for our yogic and Vedic philosophy. The first evidence base, as I said, the Dean Ornish first proven that a reversal of coronary artery disease, the heart disease, the coronary arteries get reversed. And here is the showing there was a more blockage and it's get unblocked. It is called macrophage function. Jessica knows what I'm talking about. When you start doing relaxation response, they call it endothelial function. Endothelial relax and gets a better effect. This is the Dean Ornish's program. First it's called a Spectrum program, but now it is called Intensive Cardiac Rehabilitation. It is in a large number of medical centers, including my medical school. National Institute of Health has their own centers called NCCIH, National Center for Complementary Integrative Health. They have a whole section of the yoga therapy, and their chief is a endocrinologist. In fact, we have our program called International Association of Yoga Therapy sitter program. She's one of our keynote speakers. This is a journal, International Journal of Yoga Therapy, and another called Yoga Therapy Today. This journal is a PubMed index journal. So very important. And you have a last speaker, I'm sure, Satbir Khalsa was there. Satbir Khalsa is editor. Yoga Therapy Harvard, there was a second international conference in the Harvard on integrative medicine, role of yoga and Ayurveda. So what I'm trying to showing it to you, the acceptance of yoga therapy in Western medicine. This is our Benson Henry Institute, which is a Harvard Benson is there. And now is Dr. Mehta is there, he's in charge. So I'm going to go over with a few patients, but generally I'm going to give you just brief, actually this is me. I had an open heart, triple vessel coronary bypass about in 2001, but now all the myocardial perfusion scans are normal. Here's a man, he came to me, he had a inoperable coronary artery disease. His ejection fraction was 10 to 20%, and no people will operate on him. So he came to my class. I said, sit down, keep your spine straight, do little breathing, and then we'll see. So slowly I taught him, do a little pranayama, exhalation, longer than inhalation. And after a few months, he comes to my class and he's doing this, he's doing a bakasana. Then he's doing a, almost like a plow, So I said, you need to go back to your doctor and see. Now he go back to a doctor, now his ejection fraction is 40%. And which is almost totally unheard of, in Western medicine. So what happens with the relaxation response, You get a better preload. More blood comes back to your heart and get a reduced afterload because the peripheral resistance is down, and that increases your cardiac output. Now he started saying, I want to do a headstand. Do I want to? And I ideally I do not contraindicate anybody. What I tell them, put your head down, you will feel miserable because your intracranial pressure is high up, your intraocular pressure is high up, intracarotid pressure high up. You cannot talk, you cannot breathe, but don't do anything. Keep it down. Keep your head down 1 day, 2 day, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, depending on the person. Slowly and slowly, they get their adaptation. Intracranial pressure comes down, intraocular pressure comes down, and they can be able to breathe. So what happens when you have an imbalance in the physical body, you cannot breathe because it affects your annamaya kosha to pranamaya kosha. When you're going to breathe, I said, don't touch anybody, don't do anything. See if you can go high up. This is a purely relaxation response, and the physician will understand. So if you can look at this chart, all of even the blood chemistry that gets better with the relaxation response. Why? Relaxation response is parasympathetic activation. Our whole digestive system is supplied by parasympathetic nerve. So now the food is now converted into a proper digestion called saptadhatu. Rashadhatu, Raktadhatu, Mamshadhatu, Medodhatu, Ostidhatu, Majjadhatu, Shukradhatu. Then it forms a substance called ojas. But if you don't have enough parasympathetic activation, the food converts into high cholesterol, high uric acid. So let me go a little briefly. We are running about maybe 5 more minutes. Let me show you a few more patients. This is a lady who came to me. She had a multiple sclerosis. She was in a wheelchair. She started doing it. One day she calls me. She said, come on, let me show you my license plate. Her license plate called Transforming. I said, wow, Patricia, do you know yoga is called Art of Transformation? She was on a multiple medication for asthma. Within a short time, she got relief of it. This man had a Parkinson's disease. And he had an interesting that he started the balancing poses. Parkinson's disease, even is a dopamine, but it is a tightness of the muscles and is a loss of balance. And he said, don't touch me, I will do it. Finally, he says, I want to learn a headstand. What I have. So he's doing headstand on his own. What happened in the headstand, he tells me that generally when I get better, I still have a little bit of tremor in my hand in Parkinson's disease, but the headstand, my tremor goes away. So these are testimonial, it's very important. This man was a total cardiac cripple. He had a surgery for your VSD, malignant hypertension, surgery for your descending thoracic aneurysm. But anyway, nobody will touch him. But he started doing the balancing poses, mudras, chest opening poses, and look at his blood work. This is called activation of parasympathetic tone and relaxation response. Now he does all the balancing poses. Is a wonderful outcome of yoga therapy. This is another fascinating yoga therapy example. This man had a cataract surgery. And in a cataract surgery, the surgeon says, and most of the time, do not do a headstand. His surgeon, who himself was a yoga practitioner, he said, listen, you have been doing headstand all of your life. You have developed the baroreceptor sensitivity. Nothing will happen to you. Here he is after 6 weeks in cataract surgery. He's going back. So coming back, all the contraindications, if you're pregnancy, women says, I'm in menstrual period. Don't start anything during your change in the physiology, but you have been doing it before. We have absolutely no contraindication for doing it. This lady has a Parkinson's disease, and look at Parkinson patients doing this, almost unheard of, unless you have a relaxation response. Couple of more patients to show, and then I will take some questions and answers. This is fascinating. This you need to hear about this story. Even give me extra few more minutes. This lady, she's a CPA, and she had a stroke. And she comes to the class, she's just all come down, closing her eyes, as miserable as can be. I said, okay, sit down with your spine straight, do your little bit of a breathing, do little mudras, and you will see the difference. Slowly and slowly, I just took her and I said, in stages, impossible become possible. He started coming to the class. Now you can see she's wearing some yoga outfit. Next thing says she comes, she puts a little bit of a makeup. And one day she comes with a colorful clothes. I said, Cecilia, I need to get some pictures of it. What I'm trying to say, when you feel good, you look good and you present yourself good. This is a wonderful outcome of yoga therapy. And these are a couple of research on the soul. The first article, it comes from Vivekananda, in 1920s, Yoga Mimamsa. This is a Patanjali Yoga University. And this is the largest research center in Patanjali, now Patanjali Research Institute. 12 postdoc fellows are working under Shirley Tellis. These are all the things they do in the research work in Patanjali Yoga. They have everything. It's an evoke potential. I have been there. I've visited there so many times. They have a functional MRI. So everything we think about what yoga therapy can do, it's there. This is Vyasa. And you remember, the whole administrative building looks like Om. And here is Shirley Tellis and me. And this is the research center of the SVSA. Arukudham, the hospital in SVSA. And also in the SVSA hospital, you have a cancer center. You have even ICU, intensive care unit. One hospital is all run by the yoga therapy. Let me finish with this few slides called Origin of Yoga Therapy, where it came from. If you see a baby, everything they do is yoga. This is some pictures of the babies. Babies normally, naturally, they're in a Tadasana and Vrikasana. They sit down in Sukhasana, sit down in the Vajrasana, because they know there is some physiological changes which is good for them. Get up into the Cobra pose, Salabhasana. Look at that. Actually, my grandson is almost 2. Say, down dog, I'm doing yoga. They do, everything they do is yoga posture. Jata Parivartanasana. Look at this. Upavistakonasana, Paschimuttanasana, Balasana. We just said, when you do a Balasana, this is the way they sleep, called Supta Baddha Konasana. So people have insomnia, we tell them to sleep like this. Nokasana. So this is my last slide, just to show it to you that this was a slide you got from from actually Dina Ornish. This is Swami Satchitanand. He was invited by University of Virginia by physicians. He got up, he wrote down illness and wellness, then he circle I and circle we, and he said, when you change I to we, it's the end of my talk. So thank you again for letting me be part of your program. I'll be glad to answer all the questions. I cannot read all of them in the, so Jessica, now it is your turn. You have the questions. I'll be glad to answer all of them. I hope it gives you a little bit of a flavor, You call me, I can go segment by segment for your presentation, what to do in a Western medicine as a yoga therapy.
Thank you, Dr. Sarkar. I just really want to take a moment for everyone to acknowledge just the breadth of information that you so gracefully covered in less than an hour. How to heal yourself, how all this knowledge is just out there, but how do we get it? We're so blessed to have the right source for this. That's just with your initial description and introduction of yoga as union. And with so much information out there on the internet, especially, it's really important to have correct, authentic knowledge. And I personally feel blessed that I have parents that were able to guide me. They took your course for medical education for yoga, and that's how they guided me towards you. So I've been blessed towards you. And then in addition, my enrollment in VaYu was also a blessing because I only found out about it from your Facebook page days before the application was due. And it's amazing when you study yoga or Ayurveda and in helping yourself and helping others, there's such an immense transformation and it affects your life and the life of those around you. So there are a couple questions in the chat that are exactly the questions that I have for you as well. There's one by Dr. Vedanthan from Colorado, and he was talking about having the privilege to publish work on asthma with yoga breathing techniques. And he comments that his results did not show a significant improvement of lung functions like FEV in the yoga group, but that the yoga group had a higher score of wellness. And so his overall take was that yoga produces a sensation of wellness in the presence of illness.
No. But there is something else also. We have a vast experience. Thank you for asking the question, because we teach a class. We teach a class for yoga therapy for pulmonary disease, yoga for cardiovascular disorders. We do SAME courses. See, when you have a respiratory issue like asthma, COPD, or pulmonary fibrosis, you are afraid to breathe. Remember, this is an andomaya kosha. You get a tightness of a bronchiole. Then what happens? You cannot breathe. And if you cannot breathe in pranamaya kosha, it becomes a monomaya kosha. You become very anxious, you become restless. When you become anxious and restless, it affects your Vijnanamaya kosha. Now you cannot do any more judgment. Then it affects your Anandamaya kosha. So essentially what happens that if you tell a person who has underlying respiratory problem to do your pranayama or a voluntary regulated breathing, they will be able to do it because the embedded fear within them. So what we teach them first is called relaxation of your voluntary respiratory muscles. The respiratory muscles are voluntary muscles. It can be trained. Like, today you can say, 5 pounds, you can do your arm press, but within a week, you'll be able to do 10 pounds, then you can 20 pounds. Same way you breathe, okay? Lung is like a balloon. Slowly you breathe out. Okay, now we get a count of 2 in, count of 4 out. Slowly after 2 to 3 weeks, count of 3 in, count of 6 out. We practice, we can do easily. Breathe out, count of 10 in, count of 20 out. So we really don't push them. In fact, we push the people with the respiratory problem, exactly the one you were saying, the wellness, just to sit down with the spine straight, eyes closed, do a Dhyana Mudra, and just slowly breathe out first, slowly take a deep breath in and breathe out longer without any effort. We call it effortless ease. It's a wonderful technique. If you come to my class with a respiratory problem, I'm not going to teach you how to do pranayama first. I'm going to teach you how to do the relaxation response of your physical body, how to quiet down, get your chitta vritti nirodha before you can do any of the breathing technique. Thank you for asking that question. It's a wonderful question.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we have up to 15 minutes, up to 8:15. Yeah, we're 15 minutes. Let's talk, I love to talk.
Sure. There are just 2 more things. I'm going to share a slide because someone's asking if you have a book on yoga therapy, and I actually have that here too, so I can just put that up so everyone can see.
My book on yoga therapy. Didn't I show you my book on yoga therapy? It's here somewhere on my table.
I have a picture of it also.
You have the book Yoga Therapy, Ayurveda and Western Medicine?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, this is in Amazon, is doing very well. You just put my name, Dilip Sarkar, it'll come up. But the book is, remember, there is no book like this in the market. It's a yoga therapy, Ayurveda, and Western medicine. And the title is called the integration of the 3 healthcare modalities all together. So even you see, when you do this yoga therapy, then you say, now it is your turn to do a Ayurvedic dinacharya. Get up in the morning between 4 to 6, sit down in a malasana. We sit down, we learn. So I say, I cannot sit down. So you don't have to. Just try where you are, and slowly you will see. I was a surgeon. I was operating like this. I have a stiff neck, stiff back. I was like a stick. But today, Jessica has seen me, and all of us seen me. I'm like a rubber band. You name asana, I can do it. You had so many problems. Don't do a headstand. Don't do anything. Take some pills and start digging your grave. You'll be great. I have no restriction when you listen to your body signal. When you listen to your introspection, listen to the doctor within you, you will absolutely have no issue at all.
Thank you.
So you have my book, just to show your book to I have it here on my desk somewhere, but anyway, it is in Amazon, and people who are watching it, you can just Google it, Amazon, Dilip Sarkar, it'll all come up. Okay, what's next?
So there are a couple of people asking how to get enrolled specifically in your yoga treatment
Oh
program.
my God, I saw a movie and I love the name of the movie. The movie is called Catch Me If You Can, you have to catch me. No, I do it actually now. I'm better because now we are all home because of pandemic. Saturday morning, 9:30, I do it through Facebook live class. So if you want to join, send me a friend's request. And Fridays, actually, I'm very, very well connected with India now. And I'm from Bengal, so I do a class in Bengal. And then I do a twice a year called a continuing medical education CME program, which we just finished one. They're called in the September, May 22nd and 23rd. This next one is the September 11 and 12. And you can join our continuing medical education. Then I'm presenting throughout every weekend, every day. Yesterday I had a four Zoom meeting. So actually these days, and I was never comfortable, but now with people like Jessica and others, we are all in a Facebook and other social media. So all the informations are there. If you want to catch me, you'll be able to catch me very easily these days. Before or not in social media, it's a hard time for you to catch me, So thank you for asking.
You're very generous. You have the live Facebook classes, your YouTube channel.
Oh yes, that's another thing, Jessica. I have a YouTube channel. You can go to Dilip Sarkar Yoga, and every disease you can think about is there. If you think about yoga therapy for asthma, yoga therapy for diabetes, any known chronic diseases, is all there.
Thank you so much for sharing all of this with us. There are two other questions. One is by Arun. Is neuroplasticity a response of relaxation and an increase in parasympathetic tone, or some other effect of yogasana and meditation?
Neuroplasticity is the input specific. A relaxation response is a part of a neuroplasticity, means that today you cannot sit down in a grounding posture. You don't have to, okay? Or you cannot even bend. So now what you are doing, you are supporting yourself, you're doing a forward bend, and you stay here, close your eyes, and you start your breathing out longer than breathing in. Slowly and slowly, you will say this thing is going to happen. And slowly it will happen. It will happen because even, see, when I'm sitting on this chair, and this is my chair, I don't know if we can show it to you. It's a fascinating chair. This is called your kneeling chair. I always sit down in a kneeling chair. In a kneeling chair, you always keep your spine straight. So in my skeleton is going to fall in the front because the head is so heavy. So all my muscles are contracting to keep me straight. Okay, now answering to that, what is neuroplasticity? Say, let me give another example. I tell people you should drink a glass of water before going to bed and put a little oil inside your nostril, you'll sleep better. We sleep through our nostril. So I cannot drink water because I have to get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. I said, fine. Drink half a glass of water so you don't have to get up at night. Continue 40 inputs, 30, 40 inputs. Continue for a month or 6 weeks. Increase it to 3/4 now. You will see that's another neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity will set in. Now you can drink about 3/4 glass of water without going to the bathroom. Essentially, you'll be able to drink a full glass of water without going to the bathroom. So trying to answering your question is that it is not the relaxation response, is not the parasympathetic, the activation. That is a part of your practice, but it is a repetitive process. And the interesting is neuroplasticity is person specific. It may happen to for Jessica within a 3 input. It may happen to me for about 300 input. So I can give an example. I have a world famous a yoga teacher. She came and told me, took her 10 years to learn to do a headstand, Shirshasana. And I have people in my class who has done in the 2 days or 3 days on their own. See, in whole yoga therapy practice, you have to remember one thing. You don't do any adjustment. You don't even touch the person. You tell them, this is your final, this is your Padmasana, lotus position. You will come, but it has to come from within you. The doctor within you has to decide what is right for you. And that is the reason the yoga therapy programs are 800 hours, 1,000 hours, 1,500 hours. Normal yoga teacher is what? 200 hours. 200 hours yoga teacher's training, but yoga therapy is 800 hours. Understanding these and able to use it in the clinical setup. And if you're a physician, it's great. Jessica understands, because I talk to her all the time, that when you're a physician, what happens, every asanas, every pranayama, you feel the physiological changes within you. It's a wonderful practice.
And it just transforms your whole existence.
Exactly, total transformation. And this is called, yoga therapy is called the art of transformation.
Thank you. Speaking of doctors, there is one last question. I know just for the sake of time, there are a lot of questions. I'm going to ask one more question. If anyone else has questions, we can find a way to get them answered for you. So I would like to ask, so you had mentioned in your presentation about yoga therapy in the University of Maryland and how everyone who graduates from there will get a job because there's just such a demand. There is a question asking, what would the first step for a yoga therapist be to approach doctors in Western medicine, especially if some of them aren't as familiar with yoga in the true authentic sense? And the second part of that is, do you believe, and I do believe that that's why, one of the reasons I enrolled in VaYu, once you get the education and the master's degree, it gives you even more authenticity, credibility, and knowledge to help yourself and others.
Answer is very simple. What yoga says, you cannot change anybody, but you can change yourself. Mm-hmm. Next one says, if you change yourself, people around you started to change you. So my approach is, all the physicians, we call it the non-believers, is fine. I keep on doing it. I keep on teaching. I've been in the same town for the last 45 years, and I have hundreds and hundreds of people who got better. Mm-hmm. Now I can tell you one thing. Just like you're a physician, you will understand this. Any person who comes to my class, now I'm in the virtual class, but on my physical class, person comes, I know they have underlying medical condition. If a physician comes to my class, I have a large number of physicians who comes to my class. If they comes to us, I know exactly why they're there. The reason the physician in my class is a failure of pharmaceutical support. See, they have been brainwashed by the pharmaceutical company that if you take this medication, it will help you. So we call them pharmacomafias. Pharmacomafias are controlling. But eventually what happens, a medication works through either a blocking an enzyme or blocking a receptors, but our body is so smart. Body is so smart, it tries to find the pathway around it. So remember, after a while, my medication doesn't work anymore. So you get a new antihypertensive medication, new pain medication. So trying, as I said again, please do not contradict. You became a silent observer. You keep on doing it, people around you will start doing it. Like I say, I have all the parents, I want my children to do yoga. It's very simple. So what? You start doing it. I have a physician comes to me. He says, I want to incorporate yoga therapy in my practice. How to do it? Simple. You start doing it first. You feel within yourself, then you will be able to share. And yoga therapy, remember, as yoga therapy teaching, it is the sharing your own practice. If you don't do a practice, you cannot be a teacher.
And that's true.
As simple as it is. You cannot change yourself, but you can change, you cannot change anybody, but you can change yourself. And the whole world will change around you.
And you can only share what you have to give. You can't.
Yes, but actually you share what is within you. What is, like I have seen autistic children. It's amazing. Their parent comes and says, you know what, the day I was doing with him, he looks so good, he looks so better. I said, why didn't you do it every day with him? He said, the day I was doing with him. I said, what does it mean by day? Yoga therapy practice is a daily practice. It's a part of your lifestyle. It is part of your dinacharya. It's a part of your yogic daily lifestyle. That's the way you get the benefit out of it. If you're popping a pill every day, do you know at the age of 70 in the United States, average they take 8 to 10 pills per day? I had no idea. $350 billion industry called pharmacomafias, huh? They're controlling you. So I said, do a daily yoga practice, as simple as it is. Wow. You ask me, I'll come and do more presentation, practice, because you remember one thing, the moment you get out of this program, then you'll be bombarded with the patients. Anybody comes to your class or your setup will have underlying medical condition. And it takes time as a physician also, like you have been, realizing it as a physician to incorporate this yoga therapy in your practice and lifestyle. It took some time. It doesn't happen overnight. That is called the art of transformation. Thank you. I think we're getting towards the time now.
Yeah, I thank you so much, Dr. Sarkar. I just wanted to ask if anyone had any final questions, especially related to VaYu, and I'm just going to share just this, one slide. So if you have any questions, please send your email to apply@vayu.usa, or if there are any questions specifically for VaYu. Okay, so Amita had a final. Can we have a quick practice session, as the doctor had mentioned? I know
what was that?
For a quick practice session today, as you had mentioned earlier during the talk, doing a quick practice.
Yeah. Always, practice. Put your hand in the back, do a Paschim Namaskar. Okay, as simple as it is. You can see me. Just come back slowly. Put your hands here as a Paschim Namaskar. Sitting in a chair, and just stay here. But don't push yourself. Don't go into the pain, short of pain. Just breathe out first. Take a deep breath in. There are 4 postures for Brahma Mudra. Put your neck to the back. And breathing out, breathe out with a Bhramri pranayama. So extending your exhalation parasympathetic, same thing you do, both sides, right, left, back, front, and your hand is in the back. Muscle cannot stay contracted too long. Asanas have a 3 stage. One is called arambho, is the beginning. Then it's called sthiti. Sthiti means the muscle starts to relax. It has a fasciculation. The fasciculation goes away. Finally, it's called a visarjan. See, my hand is there. My hand is way high up. Paschim Namaskar, Brahma Mudra with a Bhramri Pranayam. What do you call a Western medicine? Money back guarantee. You're going to have a parasympathetic activation, and parasympathetic activation, your blood sugar will come down. See how simple it is. Western medicine, diabetes is a receptor problem, enzyme problem. Yoga says diabetes, body cannot digest sugar. You need to improve your digestive power. What is digestive power? A parasympathetic activation. Parasympathetic called calm and digest. Sympathetic is called fright and flight. So here I am in my parasympathetic activation. I have my proper digestion, I sleep well. You know the sign of health in yoga? Looking at a baby, healthy baby is they eat, poop, and sleep. Strong digestion, easy elimination, good night's sleep. You don't need your cardiac stress test, you don't need your mammogram, you don't nothing. But you know what we do? Every year we go for a checkup and your doctor says, wow, everything looks good. I don't know what you are doing. Keep on doing what you are doing. Your blood work looks good, everything looks good. Because most of the Western physicians, you remember, they have no understanding what this relaxation response is. So simple practice. Or breathe out longer than breathing in throughout the whole day. See what happens if you do simply count of 2 in and count of 4 out. Normal breathing rate is 15 to 16. 2 second in, 4 second out. A baby can do it. See, you are already reducing a breathing rate to 10. 3 second in, 6 second out. Already reducing to 7. And then if you keep on doing it, neuroplasticity sets in, you sleep like, you breathe like this and sleeping. And my wife tells me all the time, that's how you breathe. And in the animal world, you have seen animal who breeds less number, they live longer. Turtle lives 300, 400 years, a dog lives up to 20 years. So as simple practices like yoga therapy. So neuroplasticity is the underlying mechanism for yoga therapy.
Sure. Thank you. And
Good night time.
Oh no,
Hey,
it's just amazing. The breath is just a tool that most of us are not conscious of all the time. So it's such simple, beautiful, like evergreen advice.
see, the breath is both your voluntary and involuntary. I can take a deep breath in, but I'm sleeping, I'm breathing. So when I'm trying, you understand it's a function of your cortex. And when I'm sleeping, it's a function of my brainstem. This is conscious, this is subconscious. So breath is a connector between a body and mind. So say, literally, if you're flying a kite, the roller is your body, the kite is your mind, and the thread which connects your breath. Your breath connects your body and mind. Breath connects your, brainstem to your cortex. A simple way of saying, a simple way of saying. And same as a blinking, the eyes, that's where the tratak is so powerful. Blinking is both voluntary and involuntary function. Actually, the whole yoga therapy, the yogic, what happened in the yogic kriyas, they have a voluntary control over involuntary function. That's what yoga therapy is. So we call it medically, we call it a controlling your autonomic nervous system. Okay, time to say goodbye. Or
well, thank you so much again.
I can continue conversation and
yeah.
whole night. I can do whole night. Whole night is for me. No.
Yeah, no, you make the time. Thank you so much. Everyone, thank you so much for staying a few minutes. As you can see, Dr. Sarkar's energy is just Zoom in person. It doesn't matter. It goes everywhere because it's from within. Thank you so much.
It's called, what do you call energizer battery,
Oh yes, keeps going.
Keep
But
going.
that's living life truly. So I just want to say thank you again. And I'm just going to close also by just announcing our speaker for next week. Our speaker for next week is Prasad Kaipa. He's going to talk to us about yoga and leadership. And then I'm just going to, I know it's late, but we'll just invite everyone for a closing prayer. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kashid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. May all be happy. May all be free from illness. May all see what is auspicious, and may no one suffer. Peace, peace, peace. Thank you, everyone.